Hi guys, my name's Seb Tudor, I'm the man on the Silver Mountain and welcome back. Little bonus video here today because apparently when I posted my video about the YouTube and the YouTube problems and the fact that people now that there's people around me and to one extent or another, just people that I bump into who know that I'm now on YouTube to one extent or another. You know, they've been talking to me about it, and as a result I put up a video with some of my thoughts, and I tried to address it in a very kind of balanced and straightforward way. But then after I made that video and put it up, a few hours later, Boogie2988, who is a much larger YouTuber than myself, put out a video with his Fix YouTube challenge, focusing more on the positive and maybe some more constructive things that we can suggest or that we can discuss amongst creators and with YouTube itself to try and amend the platform to get it back where we want it to be, to then also help them as YouTube grow their platform and continue to develop it, because obviously it's done a lot of good for a lot of people so far. It's done an awful lot of interesting things so far, and obviously it'd be really great if it continued to do that, especially for people like me who are new to posting on the platform but otherwise long-time users who have enjoyed interacting and dealing with creators either in person or tangentially or just enjoying their content, you know. But as a result, he was asking for suggestions, and you know, in his video he talks about communication, he talks about the impression stats that would be really useful, and you know, I've got 5 points here, some of which overlap with his, some of which are somewhat more detached, that I genuinely think would be useful but also not super hard for YouTube to manage, to be honest. But first off, let's start off where Boogie was, by talking about impression stats. You know, seeing when things actually hit subscriber boxes, whether or not they're actually being just passed over for whatever reason. You know, especially for the newer YouTubers, especially for the smaller YouTubers, whether or not those people are being prioritized in algorithms or not, to one extent or another, who knows. But having those impression stats would obviously be really helpful for big users, big creators, for seeing where their huge audiences are swaying one way or the other, but also it'd be really useful for people like me who are still relatively new to the platform, that are coming on and taking a look at where I need to base my stuff. I mean, with my thumbnails, there is a large variance in the thumbnails that I put together and put up and attach to videos, purely because I'm experimenting. I'm trying to see if I can work out which one is going to be, which kind of thumbnail is going to be more useful to me. You know, should I have my face there? Should I use an exemplary picture, a piece of stock imagery that I've managed to get hold of to put it up there? Should I kind of chop images together to try and make something that's just entertaining, that catches the eye but still gets my message across for the rest of the video? You know, there's those stats would be really interesting. And in addition to that, as I said in my video end of last week, the analytics and the stats that we get, I mean, with the example that I had of mine, you know, it was telling me that the video that I had with the most views was you know, in the 40s, when I could look down through my video manager and find videos that were quite obviously there in the 50s. And you know, there's a really odd disparity there, where seemingly to me, when I look at individual videos and their stats attached to them, they're telling me that they're the best videos, but they're not the videos that YouTube is telling me are the best, and there doesn't seem to be any numerical backing for what is being said to me. And so, you know, it'd be really useful if those numbers were kind of brought in line, and if YouTube is telling me the truth, but those other videos with the higher views, and maybe some of them had higher watch minutes and things like that as well, if those things, yeah, if there's a reason for the ones with lower minutes and lower views being counted as better videos, what's the reason? Because it's not in the numbers. So yeah, impression stats and also just more accurate stats would just be really, really useful. The second point that I made was also a point I brought up in my other video, that I did at the end of last week, which was if there's lots of suggestion at times that maybe new creators are being prioritized in certain things, like in some of the trending stuff, or if you've got other bits and pieces that are kind of trying to knock down older users, or maybe YouTube's trying to cycle through creators so that you've got the big YouTubers that continue to have a constant draw, but obviously, as with other forms of media like TV and so on, you're going to want the new thing to come in and cycle in with that to continue bringing in more viewers, more promotions, more other new content to just keep things going. And if that's the case, though, I feel like if they're going to put in a tab for things like trending, where it seems to be human selected and it seems to be dealt with in regards to either what someone thinks is going to be interesting to people, or what's climbing quickly, or whatever else, then if they want to have that cycle of talent whereby you have the old YouTubers who have their established audiences that are slowly growing anyway, or whatever else, if they want to keep those there, and then they want the new talent to be more readily available so that their next generation are going to continue to develop and grow, now that YouTube, to be fair, is a very large and in certain areas highly saturated platform, then why not have a new creators tab, one specifically for people below a certain threshold of subscribers, like 1,000 subscribers or something, but who are very active, 1-2 videos a week, 1 video every day. You would have that turnover, literally, pick it from the smallest, or set a threshold, set a type of kind of area by which, just for one day of a week, someone who has hit a certain amount of activity or a certain amount of climb, let's just say that they get picked up and they get put in they get shown off to maybe a few more people just for a day, just to see what would happen. That's one of the ideas that I'm not 100% sure of, just because I me being new, obviously it might work well for me, but it also might work terribly for other people, or it might work really badly for me, even just because I'm very consistent and I don't have spikes in my activity, or at least I try to be. So it just a thought to throw around. The third point, again talked about by both Boogie and myself at the end of last weekend, God knows how many other people, communication and messaging. And I'm not talking about to YouTube here, I'm talking about for use on the platform. YouTube's messaging system, messaging like personal private message system is abysmal, and it is essentially a social media platform, and yet one of the main core kind of things that YouTube's competitors are doing, realize that YouTube is in competition with people like Facebook, and Facebook is now opening up its video more with its live streaming and things like that. And whilst it's still not up to the same standard really as YouTube, one of the things that makes Facebook kind of easy to use, or Twitter, or any of these other platforms kind of easier to use in regards to the communication aspect, is simply the fact that I can actively go and share and talk to and throw messages out to anyone, any other user on the platform that just doesn't have me blocked, basically, to one degree or another. And so it's like, with that, you've got things like the community tab that they've started using for certain people but isn't accessible by everybody, and whatever else. If it becomes accessible by everybody, then fair enough, it's a step in the right direction, but that's still a very public means of communication instead of a direct one-to-one conversation that can be had to one side. So for messaging and communication on the platform, between people, between creators and viewers, between creators and creators, between viewers and viewers, having the comment section, fair enough. Having a community tab, fair enough. Also a good step in the right direction once it becomes available to everybody. But also improve your messaging system. Messaging systems are obviously not the most difficult thing to do in the world, considering that they are in every kind of office intranet, every single other social media site has a very easy to use and kind of straightforward, to one extent or another, messaging system. That's part of the whole social media aspect. Surely it's the communication part. And then I mentioned this in my video, Philip DeFranco has mentioned this, other people have mentioned this ad infinitum, but video responses, where you can actually see the conversation taking place between two creators that are having a conversation almost one-to-one, almost looking in each other's eyes through their videos. You can have that extra interaction there, and it allows for promotion, it allows for an increased level of discussion. And yet it was removed from the platform and hasn't come back. Bring it back. It's obviously a thing that you were able to do in the past. I can't see it being the most difficult thing for you to reinstitute. It's the same with all of these different modes of communication. You need to have as many as you can to try and get your kind of access. As a creator, you don't want to purely be at the mercy of an algorithm, which is what a lot of YouTube is right now. You want to be able to work within the environment that you are approaching, i.e. YouTube, and you want to be able to approach people. You want to be able to get your name out there, and trying to buy ad space and stuff, fair enough, that's an opportunity for some, but also it's just a massive paywall for others, and it means that it becomes very much a pay-to-win game, and you're looking more for the monetary input rather than the quality of the content. Remove the paywall by having the people with the money being able to do whatever else they want, but also having, granting the people who don't have the money, don't have the resources to throw into that, give them access to the agency, the control to go and talk and throw their ideas out and throw their content out to other people through the platform. And yes, this might cause some other problems with spamming of certain videos and things, certain people trying to spam their videos onto other videos as video responses and things like that. But, I have a feeling that would be a far less significant issue overall. I don't remember seeing an awful lot of that happening when video responses were still a thing on YouTube in the past. But that's user-to-user messaging and communication. But my fourth point now is YouTube communications out to us, and the way that they manage expectations. And this is something that I had to deal a lot with when I was managing people, when I was dealing with teams and things like that. And it kind of comes down to the communications out so far, as has been noted by so many people, they have been relatively silent, and they've only said things after the feedback has come in, after people have complained, and then it is a one-way thing. As Boogie said, it's not them feeding us, it's us feeding them, and there's and as a result, all they're getting is the negative, because it's a reaction. But the thing to kind of come in and touch on a bit more is to communicate out effectively, you need to be specific, you need to have a lot of whys. When I was managing people and having to try and manage their expectations, the things that you would need to do would very literally be kind of what is it that's happening, how is it that's going to happen, what's the process, how's it going to get phased in, and whatever else, and then why. And why is the big thing, because why, if someone sees something and it's the kind of, if it ain't broke, don't fix it, and they're sat there looking at it and it wasn't broken before, and now you're making a mess, and you're putting them through this conflict heavy period to supposedly make it better. Make it better is a very nebulous thing, and as a result, be specific. You need to narrow those things down. You need to know what your audience is looking for, and you need to make sure that when you're saying these things, for example, YouTube Heroes, if they had said, this is what it is, this is how we want to do it, and then this is why we want to do it this way, this is why we think the community looking out and policing itself is better than us investing in a team to police it for you. Yeah. What was the benefit of that? What made that so much more useful than not? there was no explanation there. It was just some people thought it would be great because they'd be able to just impose themselves on others, and the majority of other people thought it would be terrible because, you know, it would be people infringing on others. And the reason why it was left like that and left so open, and there was so much negativity that came back in a wave, was just because they didn't manage the expectations. It was just dropped on people. There was no build up. There was no full explanation. There was no reasoned explanation. You know, there was no why. And it's just like, you know, there's the problem. And again, with this algorithm stuff, where they're coming back with a video saying that they've not looked into more than 100 cases and everything was fine with those 100, but obviously there are still people complaining. You've got a huge number of dislikes on that video and so on and so forth. They're not managing expectations. They're not having the conversation. They're not giving the full spread of what's going on. They're just trying to kind of put a plaster over the wound. You know, it's when the person's already bled out. It's too late. It's not doing enough. It's not managing expectations well enough, and it's not really kind of giving the folks who are fueling the platform, be it the viewers or be it the creators. It's not really giving them any kind of good vision of what tomorrow's YouTube will look like. You know, you need to have a vision, and you need to have that kind of aim, so that you can actually kind of you know, set your path forward. There's that visualization thing. You need to know where you're going so that you can get there. You know, just walking down a road and randomly taking turns, you're just going to get lost. And then the last one, and this I think is one of the biggest ones. And this is really, in my view, a really simple one, considering some of the development that YouTube has done recently. And that is, you know, they have a huge platform with over 1 billion individual users, and they can listen. They can monitor everything on that platform. They can monitor all of the people who are creating stuff for their platform over other social media. You've got YouTube spaces all over the place in major cities that could be quite easily used for doing focus groups from amongst viewers, from amongst creators, or a mix of the two. You've got those spaces there, and they're you know, they run their various YouTube certifications there. They have access to tools there for creators and so on. But use them for more than that. Use them to actually gather people together and have the conversations with them. You know, make it more of a personal conversation instead of the abstract kind of presence of someone talking in a video and obviously, you know, not saying enough and not doing enough to really make a point to people. You know, you need to be able to actually, all of this comes down to a lot of communication, a lot of understanding stuff. You know, you only get negativity and outrage when there's been a breakdown in communication somewhere, and you know, as a result, this is what's happened. But the biggest problem with this is that other people's lives, their livelihoods and things, very much depend on all of these things. They very much depend on YouTube working, interaction with viewers, interaction with YouTube. You know, taking away those tools or not making them available is only going to see the erosion of your own platform. So, you know, and as I said in my video, this platform is amazing. It's one of these social media platforms that sprung up over the last 10, 11 years, and has basically allowed so many people to change their lives, to reach audiences that they never would have been able to reach before, to just be themselves, to pursue their passions and their goals and do really well through it. You know, and you've got this beast of a platform, that is challenging conventional media on so many different levels now, and yet with all of these various problems that keep coming up, rearing their head, having issues, You know, you've got so many talented engineers working for YouTube, you've got so many talented people working for YouTube and Google. You would have thought that there would be a means by which some of these really simple things could be put back into the platform, or reworked, or put into the platform to begin with help from the creators. You know, when I was working in management a lot, it would a manager wouldn't need to weigh in and get the whole team behind an idea, behind a new policy, or behind a new thing that needed to happen, or an event that was going on, or anything like that. He would need the people who were guiding the team. He would need his supervisory staff, his junior managers, his team leaders, his supervisors, his whatever you want to call them. You get them on board, you make sure that they understand what's going on, and then they get the rest of the team on board. They're the ones that generate the swell of either enthusiasm or negativity. They're the ones that pull everyone else along with them. That's the whole point. That's why they're called team leaders and stuff like that. You know, they are there to lead. And in this particular instance with YouTube, YouTube is the boss, the creators are the team leaders, the viewers are the team. If you want people to get behind your stuff, to work with your platform, to continue to enrich it, to continue to make you money and develop, you know, as I was saying in my video end of last week, using subscription services like YouTube Red to improve YouTube's lots so that you're not making losses and things as you have been in the past, then, you know, you need to have that communication. You need to get the creators on board so that then the rest of the user base follows. That's the way it works. It's pretty simple. It's in most forms of management training. But anyway, yeah, these are my suggestions, my thoughts on this, and as a result, you know, I hope you guys find this interesting. Any other creators that happen to watch me or use YouTube, be you as a creator or as a user, you know, Boogie very specifically kind of put this out to creators. I feel that anyone that uses the platform, there are a billion different users using YouTube. Everyone has may have ideas that you know haven't occurred to anyone else before, and some of them may very well be really great. So, you know, anyone who regularly uses YouTube, anyone who's invested in the platform, who loves it, who gets more gratification and entertainment from YouTube than they do anywhere else, you know, put your thoughts together, put them into a blog post, into a tweet, into a Facebook post, wherever. Stick it up and link them to other people. Let other people see it. Let's grow a discussion from this. You know, you've had everyone talking kind of in vacuums or tangentially referring to one another, and then you've had Boogie, who has actually put across a challenge to people to try and do more. So let's do more. Let's have the conversation. Let's see where it goes. Anyway, that's all from me. And yeah, if please find a link to Boogie's initial video down in the description, and otherwise, you know, let's start talking about this. Let's start trying to make YouTube a better place and a place that can continue to grow, instead of where, you know, it's seemed to have got itself into a shaky place after possibly one of the shaky years in a long time. But anyway, yeah, take care guys, and I'll see you in the video tomorrow.